Welcome to the Unpopular Playground podcast, where Jenn Lin and Debbie will help you navigate life's twists and turns and rock your world by the time you're 30.
Welcome back to the Unpopular Playground. I'm Jenn Lin, and this is Debbie.
Hey guys, how are you doing today? Thank you for joining us once again. And today we're going to be talking on the topic of Housing 101. And we're going to talk about selecting research considerations. This requires evaluating the research problem, which is a comprehensive evaluation of locations, financial feasibility, property condition, and lifestyle fit. Key factors. Research includes neighborhood safety, amenities, local market trends, property taxes, biggie. Don't forget them because they'll get you, they'll bite you in the butt. HOA rules and fees. This is very important because some of the rules may not be ones you want to abide by.
Even if you're
Oh,
renting.
this is not just for buying a house. This is because when you rent, if it's a place where there's HOAs, more than likely that fee will be included in what you're being charged for rent. But the rules, you have to know the rules. There's rules like you can't leave your Christmas lights up after January 5th. Trash cans have to be behind a fence. These are things you want to know, or else you're going to be getting little letters from the HOA. Make sure to check if there's any future development plans. You got a nice place, right? And it's all nice and peaceful and quiet. Oh, and in 6 months, the trucks are in, the dozers are in, because that lot across the street, they're building a mini mall. Check into that, because if you don't want to live by that and you purchased or rented the place because of where it was and the solitude, you can go down to your office and go to land development, and they will be able to tell you what they have proposed
I wouldn't have
in
thought
the
about
near
that.
future.
I wouldn't have thought about the development thing.
It happens when people buy homes and buy a home and you think, oh, look, it's so nice. It's so peaceful. There's only certain homes in this little development and that. Whoops. And here they're putting a new development right next to yours. So now you got the trucks coming in and out and bringing in rocks and sand. And it's like, all of a sudden, it's not that peaceful, tranquil place that you rented. So for location and neighborhood assessment, check for safety and security. Analyze crime statistics from local law enforcement. Check fees for adequate street lighting and evaluate if the area has a neighborhood watch. Proximity to necessities. Map the distance to daily necessities, which include grocery stores, pharmacies, hospitals, parks, and your job.
Can I bring up
Entrance.
a techie app with the ways you can do all of that without having to actually make the drive yourself? You can just punch in like you're planning a drive, and it'll give you the mileage and approximate time to take there. I had that happen in selecting my new place. I went to look at one place and I was going to look at two other places. So I wanted to wait and consider. As soon as I figured out that it was going to only take 10 minutes to get to where I work from there, I stopped and I did the ways on the potential location of the other two places. Even though they were Orange County, they were
Right.
almost the same distance I'm driving now. So,
Yeah.
which defeated the whole purpose. I called her right away and said, yeah, I'll take it, because
Right.
I didn't want to drive.
And that's
I
important.
use technology to do that.
I only use Waze when I'm driving places so I can find out where the cops are. For commute and transport, test commute during the rush hour and investigate public transportation options, walkability scores, and proximity to major highways. School district quality. Even without kids, the quality of local schools impacts the future resale value if you're buying a home. The schools, depending on the rating on your school system, that goes right into your taxes because you get charged for school tax. What is the school tax when I file my income taxes? Make sure that
I have a
all this
question
is
for you on
within your
that,
means.
Debbie. I want to know your thoughts, because in a way it can be good and bad. If you're paying a little bit more taxes, sometimes it might be a little bit worth it because you know you're going to have better neighbors.
Of
Your
course.
neighbors, I think the crime rate would be somewhat higher. So you would have to take maybe that into consideration. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I definitely agree. I mean, when I'm buying, I drive around, I see the neighborhood. I go in the morning, I go in the afternoon, I go in the evening, and I go on weekends, because in doing that, I'm able to say, okay, what kind of people live there? what kind of people are using the pool, how many kids are in the neighborhood. That's your best way of finding. Yeah, the proximity mile wise is good, but you want to see, okay, am I going to live in a place where everybody is lower income than I am? And not to say that that's bad, but sometimes lower income, it's not conducive to the way I want to live. So that's definitely something
Exactly.
you want to check.
If I could, do they party? I had neighbors that had bump, 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 bump fiesta going on almost 5 nights a week. Almost every night was a party, and I lived above them. And, you know, if you have that, even sometimes they have it down the street, and it's like a whole, you would think that you're at a concert because you can hear.
That are very important because people move in and they just don't realize my taxes. Oh, okay, I can afford these taxes. Well, next year, oh, that's a little high. Oh, guess what? Utilities go up, gas is going up. People that figured, oh, I'm only paying $2.10 a gallon. Now you're paying $6. So you need to look into and be prepared and have a plan B. You have anything to add, Jen?
I had 3 points, but a lot of them you had already brought up, so I'll be able to go through them quickly. In my research, I had 3 non-negotiable considerations, and one of them was the true cost beyond monthly rent, why it's number 1. Rent number is a trap. It's not just the rent, it's all of the other things of life that you're paying for. Calculating that all in monthly costs with your utilities, all of those extra fees that Debbie just mentioned. And then the second is the location. It's critical because it dictates your daily life within the next year because most leases are a year. So it's more than a cool neighborhood in a name. Debbie mentioned testing the commuting. I mentioned the ways and then mapping out your life essentials. We came up with the same thing with the mapping out to the grocery store, to all of the things that you do on a daily life. You don't want to be like Ma and Pa Kettle. Well, I'll be back next week because I'm going out to get the things for the pantry in 2 days because you live so far away. I don't think anybody can afford that now unless you're self-sustaining farm or something. Everybody needs to have access to those things
Right.
that you use on the daily. And then that third is the unit's actual condition, not just the aesthetics. Debbie mentioned about taking pictures. The cosmetic flaws are one thing. What you don't want are the functional failures, the things that are going wrong all the time, and their response time. You could even go ask the renter, the current renter, what is the response time for these things? Do you think this is a good place? How long have you lived here? You can ask the people living in the area, a certain complex. Inspect like a detective.
And the dishwasher, check all appliances.
In the walls. Do you see it in the walls? Are they kind of dark in some areas? That can not just be a functional failure, it can be a health thing as well. So, yeah, I had the same points as you. I have 3 must ask questions and why you need to ask them. What are you responsible for paying for, and what are they responsible for paying for? Landlords will try and lock you in. And if you don't read that lease, you're going to be caught stuck in that lease, forced to pay for those expenses. Certain things legally by law, they need to have a quicker response time. They need to sometimes respond immediately, sometimes within 24 hours,
Right.
sometimes within a week. You need to know the suspenses and what the norm is on that, especially like with the broken water heater. If you're in a snowy place and they don't have that water heater done and you don't have heat, you could die and have those. They need to have those or get sick. If you're sick, you can't go to work. Can't go to work, you can't pay the bills. Right. So
Exactly.
one thing leads to another. The second important question is what is the process for submitting and handling maintenance requests? Because some places they will not acknowledge your response. You can call them, but if that's not their procedure, nothing will get done. And they'll say, well, you didn't read the procedure. It's in the rental agreement. So you need to ask these things. And then the third, can you explain the lease break policy and subletting rules? A lot of places, I could get an apartment in my name and I might want to sublet the other room out and have a roommate. Some places don't let you do that. Or you could get a dream job in another city and you can't go because you have that rent thing and the person in the room is not willing to move out. Are they willing to take over the lease?
Right.
Now that you're a big girl or big boy, you're going to have legal consequences that could be very lasting and could be
Very costly.
land you in jail. It could
Mhm.
also be a great financial burden for you for years to come
Oh, yeah.
because you think the person that you screwed by leaving and taking that dream job and they're left, they're going to sue you because
Mhm.
that's I would. And you would, and these are some things that you need to think about with roommates.
Yeah, just one thing I wanted to say. When you're looking for a place, go knock on doors and talk to the neighbors. I always want to know, what is your utility bill run? So you get in and you don't realize, oh my God, like in California, SDG&E, one of the highest utility companies for electric. I had a 2-story home and it cost me $600 a month to air condition that place. Somebody else may go, oh, it's only going to be a couple $100. You get hit with that first bill, you're already in debt because now you're making payments on that, or you're not paying on your mortgage, or you're not paying on something else. But just talk to people, ask them, what about living here really appeals to you? And what are some of the things that you've noticed that you might like to see change? And they'll give you. So talk to people, get to
Could
know
I
your
bring up a
neighbors.
point on that, Debbie?
Yep.
Because it's really interesting, especially with the utilities, because you would also have to know their lifestyle. Do they have
Yes.
kids? If they have a kid that's a gamer, their
Right.
electricity is going to be higher. And if
Exactly.
they have, if they're old, like 90 years old and it's cold, they get colder. So their
Right.
heater is going to be on 24/7. So their heating bill is going to be higher. Like rented a room from her. She said, okay, it's going to be this much. And then you just pay for the heater. In the summer, it was just a couple $100, like $150 for the
Mhm.
trash. And so it was not more than $350. But in the winter, that heater went on. My stomach churned every time the heater went on. And it was almost $500. And I asked her, I said, I think we need to renegotiate the thing because I'm not here a lot and you're here all the time and you have the heating bill. You have the heater going on 24/7 and you leave the lights on and I'm paying the utilities and I'm not here. In the summer, it was fine, but maybe we need to renegotiate a winter one. And she said, no, I think this is okay. I said, for what you're charging me, I can have my own apartment. And so she said, no, I think this is good. But it did cause a little bit of bad blood and I got my own apartment because it's like, if I'm going to be paying for this, I'm going to just have my own. Thank God I could because it wasn't here in California. It was in Washington. I got a 2-bedroom apartment for 530. Then it raised up to 50 or whatever, but I'm renting a room for more than that.
But they don't have to say, well, we'll only go up $50. And you don't know, what are they going to? I would ask, are you planning to increase the rent? And at what increments do you increase the rent? I need to know this because I need to know that I'll be able to do this next year.
Management company. So they justified it that way because they had to pay their employees and things.
Right.
Another thing that happened to my dad twice. He rented a place and he got kicked out because they were going to renovate. So they gave him the minimum notice. So he had 30 days to move out.
If anybody that's going to be renting a house or renting an apartment or even purchasing a house, make sure if you have a disability or if there's someone in your immediate family has a disability, do they have accommodations for disabled people? Because
Good
most places are required to have a ramp in case you need a wheelchair, shower handles. So those are all things you want to take into consideration. I'm going to say goodbye.
Follow us at the Unpopular Playground. Share this with your young adult and high school friends. Reach out to us on Insta at Unpopular Playground 1791 with your questions. Stay curious and see you next episode.